looking at.
Your voice is so incredibly meaningful and persuasive as someone who is deeply respected, obviously, for both your scholarship and kind of your political opinions over the course of time. And so it made big news, understandably, a few months ago when you came out very strongly advocating for...
Worst introduction ever. Oh, my God. You know, your opinions over time. Sitch, I really like your opinions over time.
Wait, let's go
Time.
back. I missed that. That's really funny.
Are you backing it up?
Kind of your political opinions over the course of time. And so it...
Yeah. So basically that's like, oh, I used to really like you, but then you said something recently that made me not like you. That's the translation there.
Yeah.
That's what just happened. Yeah.
Brianna Joy was... What did she do for the Bernie campaign? She was
the
some
National
operative.
Press Secretary.
The National Press Secretary.
Right.
For Bernie Sanders. Do you think she's a Bernie bro, Sitch? I'm curious.
I think she's a Bernie or Buster. Yes, 100%.
Right. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Context matters.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Big news, understandably, a few months ago when you came out very strongly advocating for leftists who at the time were, many of whom were very frustrated by the way the primary season ended, to pledge their votes to Joe Biden.
Oh, I didn't say that.
Okay, can you clarify then? What is your position?
What I said is 1,000 times, as loud as possible, you should vote against Trump. Now, it happens that there's a technical fact which says when you want to vote against Trump, you have to push a lever for Biden. But the left doesn't get involved in these games. The idea of making elections the be-all and end-all of politics is the mainstream conservative idea. The idea is politics is supposed to be restricted to electoral extravaganzas. You show up every couple of years and push a lever, then you go home. The official doctrine, I've repeated it, quoted it from the main sources, is you're supposed to be members, not participants. Your job as a citizen is to show up every once in a while, pick one or another of the so-called responsible men, and then go home. To use the phrase of the main writers on the topic, Walter Lippmann in this case, the ignorant and meddlesome outsiders, the public, have to be put in their place. They have a role to show up and vote now and then, period. Now, the left has always taken a very different view. Real politics consists of constant activism. Every once in a while, an event comes up in which you have to take a couple of minutes to decide whether it's worth pushing a lever to keep out someone who's truly dangerous. So if, in this case, the argument for that is simply overwhelming, is the most dangerous figure ever to have appeared in political history.
Dun, dun, dun.
Do you believe that? Is Donald Trump the most dangerous political figure to ever exist in United States history?
I had no idea Chomsky had TDS like a motherfucker.
Of course he does. What do you mean?
It's fucking off the charts. Are you kidding me? I honestly don't think Trump is that bad. I mean, I don't understand.
I think he's bad, but I don't know how you could say he's the worst.
He's not an
United States
existential.
history.
Yeah. Donald Trump is literally the anti-war candidate now.
Well, it depends. If Chomsky believes, if you believe that climate change is real and it's like we're on the precipice, then you would say anyone who doesn't believe that would be the existential crisis, right?
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Right. So I understand if that's his argument, even if you don't agree with it, I understand the logic behind it.
Do you know that book that they wrote a long time ago? Some guy wrote about how our population was going to expand to the point that food was going to be the real problem.
Yes, of course.
We couldn't grow enough food to actually
The opposite
satiate the
happens.
population. Right. Exactly. And then the new technology of fertilizer came out, and then all of a sudden food wasn't a problem anymore.
Well, and also birth rates decline significantly
What do you
in a lot
mean?
of countries.
Population continued to go up.
No, but
We're
I don't think
approaching
people
billions now.
people didn't expect a lot of first world Western countries' birth rates to suddenly drop. They didn't expect to see. I don't think people expect to see this trend where once people reach a certain level of economics, the birth
Oh
rate
yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
stabilizes.
The point is, we figured it out. A technology came along that we figured it out. Like if we had a better policy towards nuclear, I think we could get past the climate change stuff. But
Right.
it's funny that nuclear is completely off the table, off for all the climate alarmists. So how do you even really begin that negotiation?
Well, I think isn't Joe Biden in favor of nuclear, but Bernie Sanders wasn't?
That that seems plausible. Yes, definitely.
Because that would be kind of ironic too.
Like Biden actually has the solution to climate change, and Noam
Well,
Chomsky is like, we have
that, like, because they're all like, oh my god, Joe Biden and the Democrats, they're not going to follow the Green New Deal to like the strictest letter. And it's like, well, actually, it turns out Joe Biden's the one that's in favor of nuclear, and I don't know if the Green New Deal had anything to do with nuclear energy. I'm curious now.
Well, anyway, I'm optimistic about getting past climate change. Climate change is not the real thing that I'm worried about. Societal collapse from critical race theory is higher on my list than climate change.
Okay, so this is how you know that AOC is a fucking moron, if you didn't know that already, and that the Green New Deal has really stupid shit in it, because it calls for the entire country to be powered by renewable energy, but says it wants to get rid of nuclear power too.
Yeah, nuclear is renewable.
Like how fucking stupid is that?
And not only that, the fourth generation nuclear reactors are supposed to also deal with the problem of nuclear waste, like that they haven't been able to get rid of for 20 years. Evidently, it becomes fuel for the new reactors.
I think even I'd have to. Someone can fact check this. I saw an article that was claiming that all of the waste that nuclear reactors have produced so far in human history is like a tiny fraction of the percent of all the waste created by solar energy already.
What?
Because the problem that no one talks about, everyone thinks solar energy is like the super clean energy, which is true. It doesn't create emissions, obviously. The problem is that you have to replace the batteries. They don't last forever. And so and those batteries are filled with toxic metals, all these toxic chemicals and toxic metals that if they leach into your water, it's really bad. So there's just heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of these spent batteries that just take up space. And I believe they already take up more space than all the nuclear waste does in the entire planet. So
that's crazy.
It's a little silly.